Next up in our ACC preview is the North Carolina Tar Heels. And Dalton, Mack Brown, who we interviewed, by the way, check out the interview with Coach Brown. He was an awesome guy to have on the show. He led North Carolina to their 5th consecutive bowl game in 2023. Dalton, the last time that happened for the Tar Heels was back when Mack Brown was in his previous stint as North Carolina's head coach in the late 1990s, right? So it's been a long time since North Carolina's had a stretch as good as this. And really a common theme for North Carolina over these past 5 years has been having an absolute superstar at quarterback, whether that be Sam Howell and then Drake Maye. Both those guys, Sam Howell was a starter in the NFL last year. Drake Maye is projected to be a starting quarterback at some point, right, for the New England Patriots as a number 3 overall pick in the draft. Now they have a new quarterback in Max Johnson. We'll get into it in just a second, the Texas A&M transfer. He is talented, but this offense is probably going to really rely on Omarion Hampton, one of the best running backs in America. The defense has some really good players at the first and second levels, but still they were below average defense last year at 74th in EPA per play. But Dalton, tell me more about the engine of this offense, which is Omarion Hampton.
Oh, for sure. You're talking about a 220-pound beast that's a lot faster than you'd think he would be at that size. 1,500 rushing yards last year, led the nation in yards after contact, even though his team wasn't the best run-blocking team. Hampton's going to be the engine no matter who the quarterback is, and he's one on a short list of guys who is in contention to be RB1 in next year's draft. He's going to be the engine. He's going to get a boatload of touches, and honestly, he might be a Heisman dark horse candidate.
Ooh, I love that. And I think one thing that will maybe really affect his game, obviously, and the biggest weakness of this team is the offensive line. It was a concern last year and is still a concern right now, man. They only bring back one starter from their offensive line. Now, granted, that one starter is a really good player in Willie Lampkin, their guard, but other than that, man, their other 4 projected starters played a combined 256 snaps last year. So the offensive line was a problem last year, and it looks like it could be a problem once again in 2024, and especially when they're protecting a new quarterback in Max Johnson, the Texas A&M transfer. Dalton, when you watched his tape, what did you see from the former Texas A&M quarterback?
Well, that pass protection is going to be at a premium, Max, because Max Johnson is actually a lot like he's a lefty version of his dad, former Super Bowl winning quarterback, Brad Johnson, right? They're true statue quarterbacks with shotgun arms that read defenses from the pocket, right? And we'll go into what he's good at first, right? You give him a clean pocket, he's going to beat you. He had the 9th best clean pocket passing grade in the country last year. And he has a natural ability. You can see the pedigree of getting beyond his first read, right? We see so many college quarterbacks now where either one read and run, and then that's it, right? But Max Johnson, one of his special abilities is making throws beyond his first read. When he did that, he actually had the 4th highest passing grade in the country. So if you give him enough time to operate and enough space to operate in the pocket, Max Johnson can win games. He could win a lot of games, right? The problem is when you do get to him, right? Because much like his dad, not a whole lot of mobility, right? Not a whole lot of improv. So it's about poor play under pressure, right? And it's about giving the ball away under pressure. He's got 21 fumbles over the last 3 seasons, really high total, and a 4.4% turnover-worthy play rate over the last 3 seasons. So it really comes down to if you protect him, Johnson can be really, really productive, right? And I think the run game helps a lot with that. Getting into the play-action game helps a lot with that. If you don't protect him, you're going to run into some issues, right? And it's going to be about how their offensive line can pick up blitzes and block the best pass rushers in the ACC, right? Guys like Ashton Gelati or Patrick Payton or Peter Woods or whoever else, right? If they can protect Johnson, he could have a really, really good season.
Yeah, absolutely. But like we said before, the focal point of this offense is going to be Omarion Hampton, right? He's by far the best player, I think, on this team, especially the best player in this offense, especially 6 feet tall, 220 pounds, bruising running back. In fact, Mack Brown actually told us in our interview with him that he said, man, our defensive backs hate going up against Omarion Hampton in practice because of how physical of a runner he is. And you saw it by his stats, man. 1,072 yards after contact. That led the nation. 1,072 rushing yards is a great year for any running back. He had 1,072 yards after contact as well. You mentioned it, Dalton. Serious juice at 6 feet tall, 220. He had a top speed of 23 miles an hour last year. That was 4th among all running backs in the country. This guy is big and he's fast and he is not afraid of getting physical. And you mentioned it, North Carolina was 100th in run blocking grade last year, only had a 55.5 run blocking grade. So he really had to work for every single yard he's gained And, with a new quarterback in Max Johnson, with Drake Maye gone, he's going to be relied on even more as a junior. And in my opinion, in our opinion, he's one of the 3 best running backs that we have in college football right now.
Yeah, and when I think of Omarion Hampton, right, I think just he's a violent football player, right? He just hits people hard. He's real violent. North Carolina's got a guy at defense like that, too. You look off the edge, and there's Rucker coming to kill your quarterback, man. An 89 pass rush grade last year, 96 pressures over the last 2 seasons. Really, arguably the best pass rusher in the ACC. He's an absolute animal. He's not your usual 6'6", lengthy defensive end sort of guy. He's only 6'2". He stands up. He's a true outside linebacker. But, man, is he a violent football player in the pass and run game. And he's the guy more than anybody we watched when we did our top 10 edge defender list. When he hit quarterbacks, I cringed a little. I was like, this guy wants to just get to the football and hurt somebody, man. And he brings the attitude you need in your front 7. But he's one of the best pass rushers in the country and a huge asset for this defense.
So, Dalton, you just told me that Mac Brown had a very interesting quote at an ACC Media Day saying, hey, listen, I know we don't have, Drake Maye or Sam Howell, but I actually think our team is better than what it was last year. Do you agree with that? Do you think North Carolina's going to be better than they were last year? Or do you think the fact that they lost a superstar quarterback in Drake Maye, that the Tar Heels are going to take a step back?
To be honest, I understand the coach speak part of it, right? Because they only won 8 games last year with Drake Maye at the helm, right? And they were kind of flawed. And you mentioned the offensive line, and at times they got in these shootouts in the secondary. And I think what Mac Brown was really getting at, as opposed to maybe the word better, was more balanced, right? And you go, okay, so you have a guy in Max Johnson who you can't just rely on to throw 50 times a game like Drake Maye, right? You have Omarion Hampton, you need to run the ball. You do have weapons on the outside, but they have to run the ball better. They have to play better defense. And I think the message he's sending to his team and to anybody in the media is, look, we're going to be, and we have to be more balanced this year. And a lot of coaches are, even when you have a superstar quarterback, they're going to believe that balance is better, right? Like even a team like USC and Caleb Williams didn't have any defense last year, right? Or a team like Michael Penix in Washington, where we saw some of the games they had to grind through with Dylan Johnson in their run game. I think that's what Mac Brown knows he has to build with this. I think it's possible they could win, they could do better than 8-4, right? It's just they have to protect Johnson, and they have to play just better team football than maybe they have the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think actually 8-4 is around what I expect for this team. This is one of those teams, Dalton, though, that you look at and you say, man, if they have some injuries, they're screwed. Right, because I think there's a lot of this team is really reliant on a few star players. Like if Hampton goes down, if Rucker goes down, that could really tank this season. Right, that's something that they really need those guys to stay healthy the entire year. I like some of their other guys in that defense, like Power Echols. I think at linebacker is a really good player as well. We haven't mentioned him yet, but like I said, man, if they lose Omarion Hampton for any reason, and listen, at running back too, I know he's a big player, big physical player, but if you're giving him 30, 35 touches a game, that's a lot of hits he's going to take next year. So hopefully he stays healthy the entire year, because if he goes down, that offense could all of a sudden be lost, right? So I think that this is a team that really is going to need their star players to stay healthy. But if they do, I still think they have one of the better teams in the ACC right now, and they could be like an 8-4 type team as they were last year as well. So I think that that's certainly possible for North Carolina as they head into 2024. But that's what we got for our preview of the North Carolina Tar Heels. Hey, thanks for watching the PFF College Football Show. Before I let you go, though, we have an unbelievable deal for you guys right now. If you use the code CFB25, you get 25% off your PFF Plus annual subscription. We've got the 2024 College Football Preview Guide that you can find over at pff.com, featuring the best players in the country from all 70 Power 5 teams, plus 10 Group of 5 teams that have the best chance at making the college football playoff as well. You can also gain access to NCAA premium stats for historical games, teams, and player tracking dating all the way back to 2014, so the last decade or so of college football. All the stats you can hope for, you can find in PFF Premium as well. Also, you can be the GM of your favorite NFL team with our unbelievable mock draft simulator, where you can draft up to 7 rounds of players for your NFL team. And if you want to dominate your fantasy league, you could do that as well using the best fantasy tools on the planet. All of that and more with your PFF Plus annual subscription, which you can find for 25% off right now with the code you can find in the description Or if you want to go to subscribe.pff.com and use the code CFB25 at checkout. Again, you get 25% off your PFF Plus subscription. This won't last forever, so make sure you take advantage of it right now.